We are Blackmore. We are St. Louis.
Steamy, hot evening here in the Gateway City. The Marlins and Cardinals as Miami makes their lone visit to Busch Stadium. Last time we saw the Marlins, Cardinals took 2 of 3. Heath Bell in for his save. Yadier Molina had other plans with 2 outs in the ninth. Dramatic home run to tie it up. Cardinals eventually would win that in extra innings. And with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to Cardinals baseball. Yadi will not be with us this weekend. A death in his family. He is on the bereavement list, and Brian Anderson has been called up, and that's a huge loss for the Cardinals.
It sure is. Anderson will be here, but Tony Cruz will get the bulk of the catching. Mike Matheny's going to have to watch his innings, though. Very hot weekend ahead.
All right, it's Miami and St. Louis. The Marlins making their lone visit to Busch Stadium. Matt Holliday is on a tear. He's in the lineup tonight. He's also an all-star. And we're expecting a fun atmosphere here at Busch Stadium. Matt Holliday is now an all-star. He's in the lineup tonight, and great numbers against their starter. a hot one. The Miami Marlins are in town. Game 1 tonight on Fox Sports Midwest. Well, by now you know that the All-Star Game exclusively on Fox. That'll be Tuesday night, 6:30 here locally. And we felt that because it is the midpoint of the season, let's take a look at our mid-season awards right now. We're going to bring in Rick Horton, my partner tonight, as well as Pat Paris, discuss the MVP, the Cy Young, and the Rookie of the Year. Why not start with a hometown guy for MVP? That's Carlos Beltran. Leads the league in RBIs, second in home runs. He's hitting .306. Arguably the best player wearing the birds on the bat, maybe the best in the National League. Joey Votto, power numbers are down for Votto this season, but he is hitting .345, leading all of baseball in on-base percentage, and his Reds are ahead of the Cardinals in the standings. Mr. Horton, we start with you. Who do you like?
Well, Dan and Pat, I'm going to go with the Cardinal, Carlos Beltran. I just got off the phone with Dusty Baker. He said it's okay to vote for him. 20 home runs, 65 RBIs, the average over 300. He's been very consistent, good with the power numbers. He gets on base a lot. He's my choice.
Rick, that'd be my sentimental choice. My full season choice may end up being Matt Holliday of the Cardinals, but right now I'm going to have to go with Joey Votto. He's the premier first baseman, of course, in the NL Central. He's the best hitter in the National League. And I'm just going to have to go with the Red as much as I hate to do it.
All right, let's talk pitching. Cy Young Award, R.A. Dickey, the knuckleballer, easily the front runner right now for the award. Leads all of baseball in wins with 12, just one loss. Second in baseball in strikeouts. Truly one of the great stories in the game. Meanwhile, Matt Cain, a full decade younger than Dickey, hasn't been as good, but he's been close, and he's also had a perfect game this year. Cain, like Dickey, has struggled in his last few outings, but .96 whip is second in all of baseball. Ricky, I know you love sabermetrics.
I do. Cain has been good, but Dickey has been more able. 12 victories on the season. He actually has more strikeouts than Steven Strasburg. So how do you not vote for R.A. Dickey with his 12 wins? He throws that hard knuckleball. He's been almost impossible to hit most nights out.
I hate agreeing with you, Rick Horton. I'd love to go a different direction, but it's got to be R.A. Dickey. Leads in wins, in whip, in WAR, in complete games, in shutouts. It's R.A. Dickey.
Cain is more able?
That's what I said.
Goodness. Wade Miley wasn't supposed to start the season on the team, but has emerged as the Diamondbacks ace this year. He's headed to the All-Star game, a record of 9-5. He could be the Rookie of the Year. Meanwhile, Bryce Harper, sensational first overall pick in 2010, living up to the hype. Won't be in Kansas City, though, but he's got a few All-Star games we know in his future. All right, Rick, I'll start with you. Wade Miley or Bryce Harper?
Well, a personal motto of mine is to always vote for a left-handed pitcher anytime you have a chance. So I'm going to go with Wade Miley. 9 wins on the season. His ERA just over 3. But what I like about him is he has over 100 innings pitched. He's been a workhorse for Kirk Gibson. He deserves this award.
I'm going to have to go with Bryce Harper, the 19-year-old Rick. I mean, come on, the energy this guy brings to that Washington Nationals lineup, his numbers are there as well. He's 19 years old and he's putting up these numbers, and he's living up to the hype, and all that pressure doesn't seem to bother him at all.
Pat, there's nice to know that there is knowledge on the pregame and postgame show. Your choices are oh so good. Coming up with the Fish, it's Game 1. much better baseball than the last time we saw him. And it's Jake Westbrook. Last time we saw him, his winning ways continued. Westbrook toes the rubber next. Bud Light Lime. Summer is calling. By your Mid-America Chevy dealers, the #1 selling brand in St. Louis. Find us at stlchevy.com. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, just no equal. The fans spoke. They said, we want another chance at a replica ring. The Cardinals have done that. 40,000 plus will be handed out tonight. That was moments ago, and also moments ago. National League reps of the Cardinals and Marlins receiving their jerseys, the National League All-Stars, and you'll see those on display Tuesday night. Southwest Airlines starting lineup for the Marlins: Reyes, Ramirez, and Lee. Lee just added and paying dividends. Morrison, Ruggiano, Dobbs, Infante, Buck, and Nolasco. It is hot here in St. Louis, and close to 110, as you can see there. That's in the dugout. 2 nights ago, we had the hottest temperature since 1988 to start a game in St. Louis. We may beat that tonight, as Jake Westbrook is trying to pick up a win. And speaking of hot, he has been hot in this rotation.
Yeah, he won his last game against Pittsburgh. Westbrook, the key always keep the ball down and get a lot of those.
For Kyle, quickly to first, and he just gets Reyes. Batting champion last year, Jose Reyes. Holiday just named to the All-Star team. He's in left. Daniel Descalso tonight will get the start at second base. No Yadier Molina this weekend, so it's Tony Cruz behind the plate. And that's presented by Dobbs. So no Molina to the All-Star game, and Tony La Russa decides to stay with that Cardinal theme as Tony Cruz takes over behind the plate, and it's Holiday that makes the All-Star game.
And in many ways, very deserving when you look at the numbers of Matt Holliday. Almost an oversight in some ways. And he has been so good the last couple of weeks. He is clearly putting up All-Star game numbers. So congratulations to Matt.
And who knows, maybe MVP type numbers before it's all said and done. This is the kind of night you'd love to see a very quick worker. And we have that in Jake Westbrook on a hot night.
If anything in his career as a Cardinal, we've seen him work a little too quickly. He's 2 games over 500 for his career at 92 and 90. But you mentioned how hot he's been of late. He has had a number of quality starts since the calendar turned to June and now July.
and he's won his last 3 decisions.
Marlins at the top of their lineup with good speed. The power of Ramirez in years past, and back-to-back batting champions as well, 1 and 2 in their lineup. Ramirez won his in 2009. Reyes a season ago. Such a talented player. You look up, you see 256, and that's definitely surprising.
It's a mystery, no question. He's actually hitting better than he did last year, though, so that's an even bigger surprise. Just not the same player.
Marlins went to him. They asked him to move to third base. Initially was against that move, but they had just handed Reyes long-term deal to leave New York to come to Ozzie Guillen and the Miami Marlins. And they say that Hanley Ramirez actually has played a very good third base defensively.
He's been solid. I don't think he's very good yet at coming in on balls, and maybe he doesn't react to all the things the third baseman has to do in terms of covering plays and positions, etc. But in terms of catching the ball and throwing it, he's been more than adequate. And you look at his numbers last year, Dan, 243, the home run production down to 10, RBIs only 45.
Last 4 years against St. Louis, you see what the Cardinals have done against him. Outside of 2010, they've done fairly well. And he drives one out to center field. On the move, John Jay with room on the track and makes the catch. The time lapse, you see the shadows from a few hours ago. How that early start could really affect a right fielder, to an extent the second baseman and center fielder. And when you're in the shadows, it's easy for us to say up here in the booth, but you do feel a little bit cooler than being in the sun.
No question. I love those time lapse deals. They make me a little dizzy. I understand Tony West is the architect of that. Nicely done.
Pitch that misses outside. And here is Carlos Lee wrapping up his long-term contract, and he'll do so in Miami. Rejected a deal to the Dodgers. His family did not want to go there, but they said okay to Miami. And they pick up a bat that they desperately needed at first base. Gabby Sanchez has had such a fall from grace. He's been demoted to AAA
for the second time this year.
Yep.
And it's amazing how he has changed. He's actually a kind of a local product. Grew up near Miami, and it's just a mystery where his batting eye is gone. He was lost when we saw them last down in Florida.
Lee, for the most part, has been a healthy player, a consistent player.
Doesn't strike out, drives in runs. You put him behind the speed of Ramirez and Reyes, and he could be a key to this Marlins team catching fire in the second half.
Walk to Lee, and it brings in Morrison.
And they're poised to do that. They have a very good starting rotation, and if they all kind of start clicking together, this, I wouldn't count the Miami Marlins out.
Maplewood Community College product, Logan Morrison, so he's familiar with the Midwest. And this is a guy that they think can be an absolute star before it's all said and done.
They really expect him to be the team leader and in some ways the face of the franchise. And of course, there's some very talented players on this team in Reyes and Stanton, but Morrison kind of has a way of leading in the clubhouse. He's still young himself, but he's a very talented young player. Both he and Stanton put up huge numbers when they were minor leaguers, and they were both names that we heard of even at the A-ball level. That's which is unusual.
And we would see those guys in spring training because of the shared complex in Jupiter. 1 ball, 1 strike. Greg Gibson is calling the balls and strikes tonight. Jerry Davis is the crew chief. He's down at first. Phil Cuzzi at second. Manny Gonzalez down at third. Carlos Lee with a huge 2-foot lead. Ball in the gap. He's got 0 chance to score.
You can at least take a lead big enough so if you fall over and land on the base, you can get back. Now, so in Carlos Lee's case, you'd think he can get out a little bit more than this, more than that. I mean, that's a little better. Not much.
1 ball and 2 strikes as Busch Stadium is absolutely packed tonight. Well above that 40,000 mark. The replica rings and the second of its kind given away this year. Well, we heard from so many fans saying, can you get me a ring? Can you get me a ticket? And, well, the Cardinals heard the same thing, and here you go.
Fans responded, and they lined up early today.
That's hammered down the right field line. Our understanding is for the 11:20 tickets, which are done daily outside of Busch Stadium, the main ticket gate, they were out there at 6 a.m. lining up for those. Morrison, an 8-game hitting streak on the line tonight. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Off-speed pitch, ground ball. Descalso is there. Flips to Craig. Lance Lynn was busy last night and again tonight. He was in the Ford Plaza, part of the Busch Bash and the All-Stars, signing autographs about an hour ago. Jay and Holiday, then Beltran, Craig and Freeze, Descalso, Cruz, and the pitcher Jake Westbrook. Ricky Nolasco getting the start for the Marlins.
Nolasco has not been very successful against the Cardinals in his career, but overall he's been a winner. 71 and 57 in his career, and in 2008 he was a 15-game winner for the Marlins, and really part of a solid veteran rotation that is good enough to win the East. Now they're going to have to get it all together. They're going to have to get the offense that they need. But I think this Marlins team has a chance to be special in the second half.
Rafael Furcal will lead it off. Underway here in the home half of the first. Nolasco franchise has not been around all that long, but yet he's atop many of the categories for starters for the Marlins. Dontrelle Willis also in the top 2 or 3 of most of those categories. That's ripped and fair down into the corner. Furcal touches the bag at first, on his way to second. Will he try 3? No, he's going to stop at second base with a leadoff double.
Furcal has been streaky all season long, just 4 for 24 on this homestand until this. Maybe a good streak starting here. That pitch down and in, and he just drops the head on it. Good start for St. Louis.
Well, John Jay put down a bunt. We've seen that a bunch from John.
And when he and John Jay get on base and do things offensively, very simple. Cardinals win.
And you talked about it when Ramirez was at the plate. even if it's not a sacrifice situation, but just putting it in play towards his direction with a bunt, making him move, make him make the play. There's the bunt attempt, pulled back for a ball. Keys to the game presented by Toyota. Largest run differential in the first 3 innings, and that really can be a huge key in the long haul.
And it really should put the Cardinals at a better record than they have right now. You add up all their all-stars, and this run differential that happens in the first 3 innings, better than the Washington Nationals, which at this point has the best record in the National League. So a bit of a surprise the Cardinals aren't a little bit more than 5 games over 500.
Showing bunt, lays down a beauty. Ramirez has to barehand, throws to first, and got him. Furcal is halfway down the line at third, but nowhere to go. What a tremendous play that wound up being there by Ramirez. That was not easy at all, Rick.
Not at all. That was the play we talked about him having to work on, and looked very nice with that. Morganson, Ruggiano, and Dobbs in the outfield. Ramirez, you just saw that smiley face make that play. Reyes and Infante up the middle. Carlos Lee, the first baseman. John Buck has killed the Cardinals. He's behind the plate, and here's the bunt. Perfectly executed by John Jay. And look at that off-balance throw right on time.
Again, if you're just joining us, Matt Holliday has been added to the National League All-Star team. Yadier Molina is on the bereavement list, a death in his family, so he'll miss the games this weekend, miss the All-Star game, and back for the road trip when we come back after the break. Holliday takes a ball inside. There is nobody right now in baseball hotter than this guy.
Nobody hitting it harder, longer, more in the gaps, more down the lines, and he's done very well against the Marlins in his career. Only Matt Diaz with a better batting average.
1-0 pitch. Holliday pops it up. Lee, foul territory, makes the catch. So with 2 down, it brings in Carlos Beltran.
Talked about the good play of Ramirez at third, and Carlos Lee, the new first baseman. Going to have to see what kind of first baseman he is at his age. That may be another issue defensively for the Marlins. Him fielding bunts, and maybe John Jay might want to try him one time too.
Remember, Lee primarily a left fielder for Houston. They're going to keep Logan Morrison in left field. Furcal back to the bag at third. Logan Morrison, by the way, a natural first baseman, Lee a natural outfielder, so those two are flip-flop, but yet they feel that's where they, at this point in their careers, best serve the Marlins.
Lee playing left field in Houston is different than Lee playing left field in Miami.
Exactly. Out in front, fouls it back. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Beltran headed back to Kansas City next week. He's also hit Nolasco very well.
One pitch. Trying to go inside on Beltran. Here it comes. Kind of pitch there, Rick, that if you're going to go in, make sure you get all the way in, because if not, it's in the seats.
Yeah, if it's a cutter, you have to start it out on the inside corner and have it go away from the plate. If you start it out over the middle of the plate, the hitter may be able to react to it, stay off, see the spin early enough, and be able to crush that ball on the inside corner. You have to be able to go off the plate hard.
The 2-1 pitch to Beltran.
And what that does is it opens up the back door. And this pitch probably looked 3 feet away for Beltran after seeing that pitch in on his hands the pitch before. And that's what a pitcher tries to do is and artistically almost make that plate seem wider than it really is by what you do going in and out.
The 2-2. Swing and a miss. Took something off it. strikeout of Beltran, so Nolasco gets out of an early jam in the first. You'll get 2 tickets to a game this year, free game day audio, exclusive ticket offers, and there's a base hit for Justin Ruggiano. Cardinals.com/nation to join Cardinals Nation.
Ruggiano now 8 for his last 17. He has 3 home runs on this road trip for the Marlins, so you have to be careful with him. Both he and Morrison, the hottest Marlin hitters at 4 and 5. Greg Dobbs getting more playing time as well. He's in right field. He hits next.
Fans may notice no Mike Stanton in this lineup. Giancarlo Stanton. He is part of the National League All-Star team, and he hopes to be able to be healthy enough to hit in the home run derby. And we'll see. That'll be on Tuesday. He's dealing with a sore knee. There's some floating bodies, they say, in his knee, and that has been an issue. How about a double play ball? Out at second and out at first.
Furcal helps finish what Jake Westbrook starts, and he starts it by getting a ball down in the zone, inducing the ground ball middle of the plate. Dobbs hits it fairly well, but on the ground. So the middle infielders turn it. Plenty of time. 2 outs with 1 pitch. Gotta love that.
And that's bunted foul. I don't know if you knew this, Rick. Part of our trivia question tonight is, how old is our producer Mike Helling? It's his birthday. Happy birthday to Mike Helling. Happy birthday, Mike. Here's the 0-1 pitch.
We should have brought a cake.
Back to Westbrook in a quick top of the second. Elementary School as the most enthusiastic Doing It Right school this year. Doing It Right encourages elementary students to stay in school, stay healthy. Congratulations, Gardner Elementary School, for the spirited welcome when we brought Doing It Right there. Al, Andy Bennis, Fred Bird have been doing that for a number of years, the Doing It Right program.
Joe Cunningham really started that, and Al has been just tireless at going from school to school and doing the program. And I recall Al doing that program when my kids were in elementary school, and it's been a long time, and a lot of kids are thrilled to see Fred Bird, of course, and Cardinal people there. Andy Bennis as well has done a number of them, and really is a special program, and it's got the right message too, Dan.
Alan Craig will lead it off here in the home half of the second. Bouncer up the middle. Nice play. Reyes spins, throws into the dugout of the Cardinals.
The home plate umpire has awarded Alan Craig second. First base umpire did not see it.
Yep.
But right on it was Greg Gibson. Going to be a base hit for Alan Craig and an error on the shortstop Reyes to allow him to go to second. Reyes is very acrobatic, but he tried to do a little bit too much. He's channeling Ozzie Smith here. Very hard to throw off balance like that. Just kind of sailed on him a bit.
David Freese, he was added to the All-Star game yesterday, voted in by the fans in the final vote. And joining him today, Matt Holliday. Pulls it off the bag at third. That's a fair ball. The Cardinals will take the lead. Here comes Craig to score. Freese is in, standing up at second. 1-0 St. Louis.
Not always how hard you hit it, but often it's where you hit it. How about the third base bag? Bounces up in the air. That allows Alan Craig plenty of time after it hits the bag to score from second base, as Morrison had a long run in from left field. David Freese jumping on that first pitch.
Daniel Descalso. Cruz on deck, and then Westbrook. Runner at second base and nobody out. See how Mike Matheny wants to play it. You could bunt in this spot, but then you have the eighth place hitter with the pitcher then coming up next, so it becomes almost like giving them an out for no reason.
And I always like it when it's a left-handed contact hitter at the plate. Give him a chance to just pull the ball. If anybody can do that, it's Daniel Descalso.
He pulls it, but right at second base. A rocket hit to the second baseman, and it's put away by Infante. We know what it's like for us in the heat and dealing with it. It's tough. But what about for the guy that's behind the plate and catching 9 innings? And Tony Cruz will have that dilemma. A good problem to have for him. He's playing, but yet you've got a 3:10 start tomorrow and then another day game on Sunday.
And we all know he's young and he's got plenty of energy and excitement to be out playing, but he's also a guy that hasn't been playing very much. So the conditioning for that, as well as just dealing with the heat. And of course, all the players, even if you don't play, you're still out here working, taking extra batting practice. Cruz always a part of that. So you just wonder whether he's going to be able to catch all games this weekend. Brian Anderson is here. Had a very good spring training, but has not hit well in AAA. His average just over 200, but he's been recalled. And sometimes a promotion becomes a jump start for a guy like Brian Anderson. So hopefully that'll be the case.
0-1 pitch to Cruz. Mike Matheny knows that catcher spot so well and said it was a very tough decision in spring training. Probably the hardest for him, the backup catcher spot between Anderson and Cruz. Cruz's flexibility gave him the edge. They both had very good springs. One thing about Anderson is that he's a switch hitter. Primarily, though, you'll see him go from the left side. At times, they say he's ditched it from the right side. Ground ball that's hit to short. And Cruz is retired. And it brings in Jake Westbrook.
Descalzo hit his ball right on the nose. David Freese has to react to the ball in front of him. Go back. If it's behind you, advance to third. Reyes thought about trying to get David Freese out at second base, but David very alertly scampered back.
Brian Anderson was a guy that early on in his career had that tag of at times being able to switch hit, ditch that, went to the left side, and that's where we see him primarily. Westbrook, 17 games, you saw his numbers. Outfield is shallow. They shade him the opposite way. The 1-0 pitch, 1 ball, 1 strike.
I've noticed that Jake Westbrook has helped himself more and more as his National League career has worn on. And you look at him at the plate, you don't say, okay, there's Bob Gibson or there's Adam Wainwright in terms of the style or the power, but he's learned how to shorten up the stroke and just try to flare the ball somewhere, and just occasionally he runs into one. Adam Wainwright just said he's not really as good as me. I think that's what I just read his lips.
The competition among the starters as Berkman is in the middle, Garcia, Lynn, and Wainwright.
Now Lance has been around long enough to know that that can mess with your head a little bit to stand in the middle of 3 pitchers for too long. He'll leave there shortly, I promise you. He'll be amused for a bit and then say, oh, I've had enough. Even Lance.
1-2 pitch. 2-2. Nolasco, his success at the major league level has been with Miami. Initially a member of the Chicago Cubs. Juan Pierre involved in that deal, and a very good deal for Miami. The 3-2 pitch. And he walked him.
Wow.
First walk, and it goes to Westbrook.
He's saying you had good eyes, Jake. I guess that's what he's saying. See, Lance is all ready to leave, I'm telling you. He's about had enough of Wainwright. Oh, that is funny. I can promise you the bullpen's worse.
Meaner too, probably.
Oh, you
right?
definitely don't want to go out there.
2 on, 2 outs. Here's for Kyle, and that's strike 1. A double for Rafael for Kyle, then left stranded back in the first. As a starter, Ricky Nolasco 0-4 with the ERA at 5.5.
Normally a guy that throws strikes. Very good control, so to walk Westbrook, you know he's frustrated by that.
You see those numbers, Ricky. How much does that play a factor in the back of the mind of a starter, a veteran, a guy that's been around the block?
Well, you're aware of him, that's for sure. And, you know, at some point you kind of say, okay, well, that's against different Cardinals than the ones I'm facing now in some cases. You know, maybe, you know, you're talking about Albert and Edmonds and others. And so there you kind of discount it a little bit that way. But you still, in the back of your mind, know everybody's talking about the fact that you can't beat the Cardinals and can't pitch well against them. So I guarantee you he's aware of it. And like anything else in baseball, the negative stuff you have to find a way to push down. and find something positive to build on.
That's in the dirt, blocked, and it's runners at first and second, staying put.
Like we're talking about Brian Anderson going to the park every day in AAA and looking up at the board and seeing 190, 202, and even if he's feeling good that day, you're still seeing that average. So if he gets to play tomorrow, gets a couple of hits, all of a sudden his psyche will be improved.
I think you bring up a very valid point, though, with Anderson, where he says, man, what do I have to do to make the team? I hit close to 500 in spring, then you get sent back down to a place where you've already had success.
And you try to hit 800, and you end up hitting 200.
1-2 pitch. Inside to for Kyle. John Jay on deck. We'll do it again. Yadier Molina again will miss the All-Star game and this weekend due to the death of his wife's grandfather. So Tony Cruz will be the mainstay this weekend. Stays 2-2.
And Tony grew up in South Florida, so playing against the Marlins is special for him. He had plenty of folks come out to see him play at Marlins Park.
Hit a home run. His first
home
ever.
run. How about that?
Yeah. First ever in the big leagues.
Haven't had a chance to ask him where that is being displayed right now.
Saw Matt Adams earlier this year pick up his first major league home run. He's on the DL right now down in the minor leagues. Talking with John Vooch tonight before the game, the man that runs the farm system for the Cardinals, and he said it's nothing serious. Matt Adams has had some, just like with Stanton, floating bodies in his knee. It's in the elbow, and it's something that Matt Adams a couple of years ago had to deal with, and it's come up again. They felt just give him the time off. Both the All-Star games of AAA and Major League All-Star games coincide same time, so give him that time off, and he should be ready to go in the second half. That's a line drive that's caught by Lee. Looked to be a base hit, but Lee takes it away. They're having some fun in the dugout. Muscle, good eyes. Yeah, it's the eyes. Having some fun tonight here at Is brought to you by the new wireless receiver from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. MyKiaSt.Louis.com. And right now at Jack in the Box, you can try the new Chipotle Chicken Club Combo for just $4.99 plus tax. Donna Burdette, big Cardinal fan, celebrating a birthday along with John Muni. Does a lot of the work, the grounds of Busch Stadium, the surrounding area. That's it out of play.
San Francisco Giants had a 5-run fourth inning. They lead Pittsburgh 5-3 in a game of interest. And in another game of interest from San Diego, the start will be later, and Cardinal fans need to be Kip Wells fans tonight. He goes for the Padres against the Cincinnati Reds.
That's it out of play. John Buck, involved in the Carlos Beltran deal many years ago. Everyday catcher for Miami. At that point in time, he was with Houston. Beltran went to the Astros and then signed his deal with the Mets, and now in St. Louis.
And throw out his 177 batting average on the season. He's hit the Cardinals very well the last 9 games. Close to 500, and Cardinals have made some bad pitches to him. He's a guy that has occasional power, so don't count him out as an easy out.
And it's one of those series where the matchups line up just like they did in Miami. Pitching is the same. 1-2 pitch in the dirt, 2-2.
Which means we have Lotion Zambrano in game 2 tomorrow, and then Joe Kelly and Anibal Sanchez on Sunday.
Little check swing and a foul ball.
Always fun to watch Zambrano pitch to me. Kind of an odd delivery, but you know he's a competitor, and really he had a terrible start in his game against the Cardinals in Miami, and then just shut the door the rest of the way for Ozzie Guillen. Ozzie stayed with him. I believe the Cardinals had 5 unearned runs in the first inning against Zambrano. His error was part of that, but he ended up pitching pretty well.
Line drive and a base hit. Follow Fox Sports Midwest coverage of the Cardinals with MLB.com at Bat 12 for your iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry, Windows Mobile. Live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights. Text at Bat to 31826 or visit Cardinals.com for details. Ricky Nolasco. Base hit by Buck. He stands at first. Nolasco squaring to bunt. Stabs at it, and a foul ball.
Bunting form of Nolasco. Almost as if he was moving away from that ball instead of towards it, backing out a bit. Didn't look comfortable.
We've noticed the quick feet, haven't we, Rick, of Westbrook in trying to keep those runners close. Pretty good move for a right-hander.
And I contend, yeah, I believe so. And he's short to the plate, too. I contend that the feet is where it begins. If you have the quick feet, everything else follows. There's the bunt. Again, the form of Nolasco, who's not been a good hitter in his career, average about 138. He is hitting 150 this year, a tad better, but really his job right now is to get the bunt down, and they're going to give him that sign again, I guarantee it. The reason you do that with a pitcher, you want to stay out of the double play. That would be a lot worse. So you can handle the strikeout with 2 strikes. You don't want the double play.
Stabbing at it again. He went, and a throw to first. Not in time. Buck is back safely.
You know what I like about Cruz throwing there and Descalzo coming in behind is Tony Cruz is saying, hey, don't think I won't throw too. There's the form. That pitch was nowhere close. But Cruz takes it from there. There's Descalzo at second base. Greg's charging. Descalzo's going to first. And Cruz is saying, look, I can throw too. And I think when teams play against the Cardinals and Molina is out, you might get the sense of, okay, well, maybe now we can run. And I think he's trying to send a message early.
Top of the lineup for the Marlins, Reyes, and he shoots one to left. 2 outs. Jose Reyes over 2, and it brings in Ramirez. Ramirez taking a ball. He flied out to center first time up. Average at 255. He's hit 12 home runs, driven in 44. Back to Westbrook. Underhands very casually. He can't feel his hand, but that's all right. 1-0 St. Louis. Stories. Andrew McCutchen, he is a star in the making. Maybe he's a star right now if you want to make that case. And the Pirates playing very well. Melky Cabrera, left fielder of the Giants. Ryan Braun, the 23 home runs. But Carlos Beltran, new lease on life, so to speak, his baseball life here in St. Louis.
You knew you'd see Ryan Braun's name on that list somewhere. Andrew McCutchen, maybe. Cabrera is a surprise. And in some ways, Carlos Beltran a surprise. As good as his numbers have been, he's been very consistent. Great find for the Cardinals, and the power numbers right up there with the best of the National League.
To an extent, I'll disagree with you.
You expected it.
Well, more times than not, I would say prior to the season, definitely would expect Braun to be on that list. But after what he went through,
that part
in the offseason with the allegations of,
that's a good point.
You know, what he was doing or not doing, and didn't have a very good spring, and yet here he is leading the league in home runs again.
Such a good player, though.
Yes, he is,
and mentally strong, and you know
that's the key, isn't it?
He attacked that situation pretty in a harsh way, I would say, and he went right at it. And you know, I understand your point, but just think he is such a talent. I mean, in some ways, watching him play is difficult when you're in the opposing dugout and you watch some of his stylish points that he and the Brewers developed over time, although he's not really the leader of a lot of that. Just a good player.
Yes, he is.
More than a good player.
John Jay knows him very well from their days at the University of Miami. Breaking ball, and he went. It's a strike. It's one of the sharper curveballs we've seen tonight from Ricky Nolasco.
John Jay, not really a swing and miss guy very often, but he was fooled by that. Don't even think he really picked up the spin very well. Thought that ball was going to be up in the strike zone and just broke at the last minute. Hitting so much about vision.
It's popped up, foul territory, and Ramirez can't make the play.
Guy wanted to shake his hand. Nice to meet you, Hanley.
This is one of the newer ballparks that has pretty good room where those seats aren't quite as close as some of the other newer ballparks. It gets very tight, obviously, as you go down the line. Marlins are only here for 3 games out of the year. Tough for these guys to get used to the ballpark.
Something you have to pay attention to in batting practice. And another issue going on right now with the heat all throughout the country, really, in a lot of places dealing with the same thing St. Louis is teams are hitting on the field less right now. They're spending more time hitting in the cage. They're not taking as much infield, trying to conserve energy.
Infante, nice play.
That's really where you should figure out all the nuances of a ballpark is during batting practice. Make an effort to do it.
Brings in Matt Holliday. Had an RBI opportunity back in the first with 1 out and a runner at third, and popped out. Couldn't drive him in. The Cardinals lead it 1-0. RBI by David Freese.
Makes me think of my good friend Dave Ricketts. Every place the Cardinals would go to, game 1 of a series, he would take every outfielder out to his position and hit balls off of every corner of the outfield wall. He would roll them down the line to show what would happen. So nothing would be a surprise to an outfielder coming into a field that they're not used to playing in.
You just don't see many major league teams anymore not only do that, but just take basic infield and outfield practice.
They'll take fly balls off the bat during batting practice. They'll throw into second base, but they're not throwing to home or to third from outfield positions the way they used to. Some do.
1 ball, 1 strike. For guys that have been with the Marlins for a number of years, it has to be amazing for them when they show up to St. Louis and they see triple digits, the temperatures, and yet 45,000 here tonight. And they'll see it all weekend. It's past 8 o'clock here in St. Louis and over 100 degrees on the field. One-two pitch.
So probably envious in a way as you come to a ballpark like this. But I think excited in another way, because you realize that you're playing in front of a full house and there's 40,000 people here and energy along with it for the game that you're a part of. And that's energizing even as a visitor. But yes, envious. We'd like to be able to do that more at home as well.
2-2 pitch. Holiday reaching for it. This is going to be a fair ball. Couple of hops off the wall. And Holiday is in with a stand-up double. How good is Matt Holiday reaching for balls or going down in the zone to get them?
Hands are back. Even though his body's committed a little early, his step is already down. His hands are back. So he hooks this ball into the left field corner. Another extra base hit for Holiday.
1 out. Runner at second base. First base is open with Craig on deck, and maybe that's part of the strategy and how you approach Carlos Beltran in this at bat.
Craig had a base hit to break it 0 for 12 to lead off the second inning for St. Louis. I'm not sure I'd want to walk somebody in front of Alan Craig. Understanding the alternative is you have to pitch to Carlos Beltran. If there are two guys you don't want to pitch to, you might as well pitch to the first guy. Less potential damage.
Oh, 1 pitch to Carlos. He'll be part of the home run derby on Monday night. And the Cardinals have made an announcement that I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As many home runs as Carlos hits, they're going to take dollars off for the upcoming series with the Dodgers. So there's a potential to have free tickets for that series. He hits them, you save.
Outstanding idea. Just became a fan of the home run derby.
You bet. Here's the 0-2. Ground ball right side. Lee is there and beats Beltran to the bag. Be a part of the All-Star action this summer, and Sunday, July 8th, it kicks it all off. The Sirius XM All-Star Futures game features the next generation of Major League stars, and you can see Hall of Famers, Royals legends, and your favorite celebrities in the Taco Bell All-Star Legends and Celebrity Softball game. Tickets available right now if you're thinking about making that trip to Kansas City. allstargame.com or 888-FANFEST. That's the number to call.
So to get this right on the Beltran promotion, the Dodgers series is July 23rd through the 26th. $20 tickets minus $1 for every home run that he hits in the home run derby. So if he hits 20, you're coming for free. If he hits 25, then what happens? They're not paying you, are they?
No, I did not get a voucher for $5.
Okay, just checking.
Rick, we want to stay employed, so let's make sure we're not handing out money.
I'm just making sure I got that right. Doing the math.
Happy to hand out tickets. We'll leave it at that. But it should be a fun promotion. 0-1 pitch now to Alan Craig. A little tardy with that swing. 0-2.
Nolasco showing a good live fastball.
What happens with those tickets is that sometimes you get fans that normally would not come to the ballpark, and they get their first taste of new Busch Stadium. We say new because for many we forget it's still new. Take in a game, enjoy the atmosphere, and hopefully you come on back. 0-2 to Craig. Got him to reach. Shallow right, and the catch is made. Cardinals strand a runner. It's 1-0 after 3 from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. .com. Start planning your next Missouri getaway. Here's the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art in Kansas City. Considered one of the top art museums in the United States. Maybe you're headed to the All-Star game. If you are, stop by Nelson Atkins Museum of Art in Kansas City. Find out more at visitmo.com. Jake Westbrook will face Lee, Morrison, and Ruggiano. Lee with a walk his first time up and left stranded after Morrison grounded out. It's 1-0 St. Louis and a strike at the knees.
And the part of the order that Jake Westbrook has to be concerned about: Lee, the newest Marlin, Morrison and Ruggiano, the hottest Marlins, average-wise and power-wise.
Debut, he had a couple of base hits. Carlos Lee. I'm with you, Rick. I think before it's all said and done, Marlins will be in the thick of things over in the National League East.
Well, I've kind of changed my mind on the Philadelphia Phillies because I thought they would be too, but I've kind of lost hope, and maybe they have too, because again, their pitching staff was so good. They're just not performing, and they've had their share of injuries. But the Marlins pitching staff is healthy, and you've got a shot with Burley and Sanchez and Zambrano and Nolasco to go out there every day and have a good start. I haven't even mentioned Johnson, the best of the bunch.
It is the new Marlins. Ozzie Guillen and Heath Bell, who's been a major disappointment. Reyes, Burley, who has really picked it up as of late, the St. Charles native. Zambrano, and now Lee. Some major changes. Big names in the game have come to Miami. And that hits Morrison.
Slider breaks in too much. Hits him in the left knee or shin.
Ruggiano with a base hit back in the second inning. Average at .408 with the 5 home runs, 15 RBIs. Again, no Mike Stanton in this lineup. He was running in the outfield today at Busch Stadium, but they anticipate that he'll be available for the All-Star game. Not sure about tomorrow or Sunday, though, in this series. That's a big loss and a big difference, possibly, between the two teams.
No question. He's such a talented player, and to have him out of the heart of the lineup with his RBI potential, his power potential. We saw him hit some bombs in Miami. I mean, some bombs.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Hit out of play. Our friend, the Hall of Famer Bernie Federico, is coming back on the Blues broadcast along with Darren Pang and John Kelly, the rest of the crew. That announcement has now been made public. Congratulations to all of them coming back, and we'll see them next fall and winter for the St. Louis Blues. 1-1 pitch. It's amazing how many of those guys follow what we do, and the Cardinals, and vice versa.
Well, they provided a thrilling ride for us during the fall, winter, and spring, and I know a number of the Cardinal players. I saw plenty of them at Blues games, the games that I was there for, and playoff games. The Blues were well represented by Cardinal players, that's for sure.
Here's John Jay with it, quickly back in. On a hop to freeze, Ruggiano the base hit. Build-A-Bear Workshop Day at Busch Stadium really is the perfect reason to watch the Cardinals play the Brewers. The 1982 30th anniversary celebration weekend. Most of the players from the 82 team will be here. First 12,000 fans ages 15 and under take home the Build-A-Bear. That's Sunday, August 3rd. Cardinals.com to get your tickets. There's a replica 1982 World Series ticket that weekend. and also the Bruce Sutter bobblehead. So a lot of fun in store for the fans for the 82 celebration. Here's Dobbs with runners at first and second. One out here in the top of the fourth. 1-0 St. Louis.
John Stuper, Dave LaPointe, Ozzie Smith, of course, Tom Herr, George Hendrick, Bruce Sutter out of the bullpen. Just the names go on and on of just how exciting that team was in 1982. Willie McGee, of course, maybe the biggest fan favorite of all those.
We get asked a lot about what about the retirement of Willie McGee and his number. And when the Cardinals with Ballpark Village, when they have the Cardinals Museum go up, there'll be a number of those type of players go into that museum. Willie might be the perfect example of great players, but not so sure they're going to retire that number.
And we see that in a lot of other cities where they'll have a team Hall of Fame that's different than the Hall of Fame and different than the retired numbers. And I think that's a good way to celebrate somebody like Willie McGee. And, you know, these guys are Hall of Famers, every one of them. And, you know, the numbers that they put up really stand alone. Of course, Jack Buck, the voice of the Cardinals for so many years. But for the guys that just kind of gave those thrills, you do want to have something in between to commemorate them and to honor them. And I think that Hall of Fame museum will be part of that. And Willie will be prominent, I'm sure.
Did you ever work with Jack Buck?
I did. My first game was with Jack Buck.
Were you nervous?
I'll say.
Yeah. I can't repeat what he said about me for my first game.
And that was your first game was with Jack Buck also?
No, he was in the booth down from us. I had the chance to work with Jack for a number of years prior to being on the air doing Cardinals baseball, but we did a Sunday night NFL football show together at KMOX. Many times getting the scores to Jack was more important than getting on the air.
Yeah, that's right.
I needed to check some things first.
Yes.
It was just a, you know, for a kid that grew up here like I did, and I grew up about 10 minutes from the ballpark, listening to Jack and Mike all those years, and then having the chance to work with Jack Buck. And don't get me wrong, having a chance to work with you and Al and the former players is a thrill, but Jack Buck is in a different league.
Totally.
When you grow up with him. Nice play here. Wow! Wow! They turned the double play. I didn't think they had any chance to do that. What a turn by Descalso. Percal starts it, going towards third. The turn by Daniel Descalso. 6-4-3, the second double play of the night. We've noticed that his range is just getting better and better as this season goes on. It already was good. And they turn the double play 6-4-3. Nicely done. Turn by Descalso. Replay brought to you by Hyundai.
You were surprised. I was surprised. And I would bet there are a number of players on the field that were surprised that was turned.
Matt Carpenter does not turn that double play.
Agreed.
Tyler Green, a natural shortstop, still learning second base. Tough to say. Freese reaches for it. It's a base hit into left. But no matter where you put Descalso, he makes plays defensively.
Yeah, he just does things right. And he normally does at the plate as well. Handles the bat well. Normally a good idea, the strike zone. He has his moments, as any hitter does, where he's not seeing the ball quite as well. But a lot of professional at-bats from Daniel Descalso. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to play this game, Dan, a very, very long time. That's my prediction of him. And I don't know that he'll ever be an all-star. I don't know if he'll ever be a 300 hitter year after year, but I think he's going to play a long time.
How hard do you think it is for some guys to, and if you get to this level, probably 99 out of 100 of them have been stars along the way. Grade school, high school, some college, some in the minor leagues. Then all of a sudden you get to this level and you're asked to play once a week.
Well, one thing they have in the back of their mind is they know that they're one of the 1% of people that ever play the game that ever get a chance to play professionally and get drafted. I'm talking about college players. And then of all the players that are drafted, they realize that there are 4% of those that actually make it to the big leagues. I mean, you think about the reality of that just 4% of the people who play professionally actually get to the big leagues. So it's a pretty good job to get. And they know that. And yes, they'd like to play, but they realize they're part of an elite group of the best players in the world, and they've played against, and I'm sure Daniel could run off a list of 50 players that had more ability than him that he played with. And he just realizes that things have just worked out for him. He's figured out the ropes. He's figured out how to get the edge, and here he is.
Barrett Browning, a guy that spent a lot of time in the minor leagues. He was saying the other day, I would not change it, though, for anything, because I needed those years to develop mentally and physically, and it made coming up all that much sweeter. He's turning into a very good story this year. One ball and two strikes. Runner at first is David Freese. Here it comes. A swing and a miss. A strikeout. That's number 2 on the night.
When I was first drafted, I joined the Cardinal team at High A down in St. Pete, and as I was warming up and throwing my first bullpen, I had the pitchers that were already on that team standing around me, and one of the pitchers said, "We wasted a draft choice on you," and that was the very first connection I had, is somebody who probably threw about 95 miles an hour watching me throwing, and I'm sure Barrett Browning's had somebody say that to him along the way. But yet, if you can figure out a way to throw the wrinkle, throw a changeup, make it move, being left-handed helps.
And you were breathing.
I was breathing. And that player, I reminded him that he said that. And
you want to tell us who it was?
His name is Jim Gott. Pitched in the big leagues for the Giants. Had a very good career also with the Dodgers. And Jim is one of the nicest men you'd ever want to meet. And when I tell him that story...
Does he remember it?
He doesn't remember, and he's mortified that I do.
Isn't it funny, though, how things that happen in your life, I mean, they stick with individuals, and that's the one for you that obviously stands out to this day. You're not bitter or anything.
No, but you just think of the kind of the emotions going through your first day as a professional player, and your teammate says that to you. Of course, it's a tough game in terms of the banter, too, and you might as well get used to it.
0-2 the count. One out. Runner at first. Thick skin is what you're saying.
Yes. And if you don't have it, you have to fake it.
Westbrook on deck. Cruz first time up, grounded out to short. And he waves at this and strikes out. Back-to-back Ks. 3 on the night for Nolasco. There's Brian Anderson, the backup catcher.
Mike Matheny said he would show up right around game time and he would be here and be available. Trying to make the trip here to replace Yadier Molina. He is in uniform, ready to go.
He's got the Khalil Green look. Speaking of green, that's Tyler.
Happy to see him.
Into right, slicing and fair. Westbrook on base for the second time. They'll hold up David Freese. It's a double. Wainwright's reaction to that.
A little more conventional reaction from Adam Wainwright. Jake Westbrook doing what we talked about earlier. Oh, Adam's so happy he can hardly stand it. Just put the bat on the ball. Short swing, something good might happen. And it does. There it is. I'm with you.
Extends the inning to Rafael Furcal. Lined out with 2 runners on. Back in the second inning. And doubled. Home half of the first. 2 on, 2 outs.
Nolasco has some sharp breaking balls. He also has some lazy ones. And that last one was really kind of sloppy, and I think that's what Buck is out there to talk to him about. You can't afford to make a mistake here. You know, these runs are huge. Just a 1-run game right now, but the Cardinals can break it open. You have to talk to your pitcher.
Let's talk about the strategy here. How about the outfield arms of the Marlins? And if you're Jose Oquendo, the fact that you have your starting pitcher possibly scoring on a base hit.
Well, Dobbs does not have the arm that Stanton has. And Stanton has the biggest arm of the 3 of them. Morrison has a very good arm in left, too. So this is probably going to be a difficult situation for Westbrook to score on.
Won't matter. Morrison makes the catch on the run. Cardinals strand 2. They've stranded 6 through 4 innings. Enjoy frozen treats, ice cream sundaes. North Star Ice Cream Sundays, and that'll be this Sunday. Cardinals.com. Remember to get your Fredbird t-shirt for the kids and $11 seats for this Sunday as well. All at Cardinals.com. Retiring the first batter of an inning. How important that is. Lowest opponent on base percentage, leading off an inning. This is in all of Major League Baseball, and they're national leaguers there. Jake Westbrook at 235.
And he's better than R.A. Dickey. How about that? This is a stat that really surprised me, Dan, that he's really good at getting that first guy out, which is a huge statistic for a starting pitcher. Get that first guy out. My high school coach told me many, many years ago, when you get the first guy out, it seems like half an inning. Now, it's not, and I get the math on that too, but if you get the first guy out, it really changes what the other team can do. It takes away a lot of strategy from the other team. And that first pitch strike leads to that first batter out.
Omar Infante grounded back to Westbrook. Entered the top of the second. He's 0 for 1. Broken bat hit to Freeze. To his left, and he makes the play.
Half an inning over.
We've seen Jake Westbrook really improve last 4 or 5 starts. He looks like a different pitcher. Do you see anything mechanically that he's doing?
Well, this pitch was very well located in on the hand. Not much you could do with that. And the key for him is just whether or not his fingers are on top. And you know, we talk a lot about the arm angle and the top spinning that Jake Westbrook sometimes gets into, where his arm will drop, and we've seen Lance Lynn do that some. But really the key is, are your fingers on top? And when your fingers are on top, you can pull the seams with your fingers. That's what you do when you're a sinker baller. You pull the seams last second to create a little side spin, little downward spin. And if you get on the side of the ball, it's just flat. It just doesn't break the same way.
John Buck, the 0-1 pitch. So John Buck having words with the home plate umpire. It is a continuous conversation with the home plate umpire, both catchers, and the hitter. Non-stop.
And what catchers learn very early is you have the conversation without looking at them. And what umpires don't like is they don't like getting shown up. And you can talk to them as long as you're not looking at them. You can say pretty much whatever you want as long as you're not trying to show them up.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. I asked Mike Matheny, I said, now, were you talkative at all behind home plate? He said, that wasn't my style. He said, I just was not that kind of guy. I didn't want to converse with the opposition. I tried not to talk all that much with the umpires unless I was making a case for my pitcher. He said, that was it. I said, well, you know about Beltran and Berkman, guys that played when you were playing. I couldn't tell you the first thing about them. He said, I didn't want to talk to them. They were on the other team.
Tommy Hutton does the color analysis for the Marlins, and a very good friend of his was Gary Carter, and we had a chance to visit with him some about Gary and his passing as Westbrook throws out Buck. And you know, Gary Carter was an outstanding player, a Hall of Famer, and he was one of those guys that would talk nonstop to you just because he was a chatterer. I mean, how's your wife? What'd you do in the off season? When's the last time you went fishing? How's your golf game? And at some point you just have to turn around and say, will you stop talking? We're playing here.
Berkman is that at first.
Right. There's Tommy Hutton. And again, Tommy was very, very, very close to Gary Carter and really feels his loss and the family's loss as much as anybody in that South Florida area. And just kind of a quick thing with Gary, and very sad.
1 ball, 1 strike on Ricky Nolasco. Westbrook 60 pitches, 38 have been strikes. He's allowed 3 base hits. He's hit a man and he's walked 1. Nolasco on the other side at 64 pitches.
You mentioned how quickly Jake Westbrook works. He is working fast here, but he's not rushing. If you're going to work fast, don't rush. And that is a feel thing to be able to describe the difference between the two. But you can normally tell by the performance.
Second strikeout on the night. Jay, Holiday, Beltran coming up. Budweiser, what's on tap in our pregame show? Kyle Loesch, 8-2. Zambrano and Loesch. Carlos was roughed up first inning of his last start, then settled in. Loesch has been terrific as of late, and the last 9 games, head-to-head, the Cardinals have won 8 of those, averaging better than 5 runs a game, hitting over 300 with runners in scoring position. The ERA very respectable, 3.22.
And handling a good Marlins club, too. 8-1, holding them just to 3.2 runs per game. This is an offense I think is going to explode at some point. We just hope that it's not this weekend.
John Jay will lead it off. Central Division, Pittsburgh leading by 2 games over Cincinnati, 2.5 in front of St. Louis. Milwaukee 8 games out. Jay is hit by the pitch. Leadoff man is aboard. In steps Holiday. Cardinals have had some golden opportunities to break this game wide open. Haven't been able to do it. They've stranded 6 in the first 4 innings.
Wondering if the Cardinals might run here a bit in this inning. Buck is 7 for 35, throwing out runners 20%. That's kind of on the low end. And John Jay 7 for 8 in steals. Matt Holliday will occasionally hit into a double play, but the way he's driving the ball, you don't really want to kind of mess up his timing and make him expand his zone too much on a hit and run.
And it's a double play ball. 6-4-3 on the double play. Cardinals have turned 2 double plays, the first of the night, turned by the Marlins.
Hard ground ball right at the shortstop Reyes. So the Cardinals don't run, and this is what sometimes happens. 6-4-3 double play. Velasco been decent here tonight, giving up 6 Cardinal hits. St. Louis has stranded 6. And he's kept the ball in the ballpark. Cardinals with 96 home runs on the season. The Marlins with just 77. But I think some of that relates to that ballpark that Miami plays in. Tough to go deep there.
One ball, one strike on Beltran, who is struck out and also grounded out. Again, the ticket promotion announced before our first pitch. Beltran in the home run derby, and if he hits a bunch, he may be going to games free. They're going to take $1 off tickets during the Dodgers series that are currently priced at $20. He'll take $1 off for every home run that he hits, and there could be free tickets for that series.
Wonder if he'll be thinking about that while he's at the plate in Kansas City. Boy, I'm saving money for folks. That's not out of the question to hit 20 of them.
Not at all. Goes the other way, slicing, and Morrison slides and does not make the catch. Great effort, but a base hit for Beltran. First hit of the night brings in Alan Craig.
Good effort by Morrison. This kind of play where you end up potentially hurting a wrist, and he does land very awkwardly. His glove flies off his right hand, and seen that many times where an outfielder on a play just like that comes up with a sprain of some sort. He's actually feeling that right hand a bit. You can see him shaking it. We mentioned the injury to Stanton that the Marlins are dealing with. They also are without Bonifacio.
It's a big loss in speed.
No question. And his was really just a left thumb sprain. But it's been a long time since he's played.
Check on Beltran.
He was hurt on the 19th of May.
Two 2-0. So Monday night, Alan Craig hit 2 over the wall in center field. On the season, Craig with 13 home runs. He's driven in 44. But since that night, a little bit of a rut.
1 for his last 14. Four home runs on his homestand, though, for Alan Craig. Sometimes they just keep throwing pitches on the corners. And sometimes the streaks that players have are dictated by what the pitchers are doing to them, too. Poor guy that's in the 0 for 10 slump goes to the plate, and the pitcher throws him a nasty slider, nasty fastball, nasty slider. Then he hangs about 4 pitches to the next few guys. Just seems to work that way. When it's going bad, you just don't get anything to hit.
1-1 pitch. San Francisco leading the Pirates. That's in the top of the 8th. It's 6-4. Milwaukee is trying to send Houston to another loss. The Astros have dropped 8 straight, and it's a 4-1 game. Milwaukee, that's in the home half of the 6th. Atlanta's already beaten the Phillies 5-0.
Now that was a pitch to hit.
Outfield is deep and straight away. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs and a runner at first. Lone run was scored back in the 2nd inning off the bat of David Freese. Beltran off with this pitch. The 3-2 swung on and missed. That's strikeout number 4 for Nolasco. Sends us to the 6th. Top of the lineup for the Fish coming up. And the man statue, famous statue, just outside the main entrance of Busch Stadium. Glad you're with us, along with Rick Horton, Pat Paris, Al Raboski. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and our Fox Sports Midwest crew. Reyes showing bunt, looks at a strike. It'll be Reyes, Ramirez, and Lee. Reyes tonight 0 for 2. Grounded out to short. He's also lined out to left. When healthy, and that's always been a question mark with the legs of Reyes. Remember all the leg problems and hamstring issues he's had. But when healthy and can run full speed, he is one of the most exciting players in baseball. Freeze. He knows he has to be fast. And the tag is not there. That's the speed coming into play.
And that's what it does to you. David Freese bounced up as fast as he could because he knew, even though the ball was hit hard, I don't have a lot of time to play around with right here. And fortunately, the throw was wide. Should be an error on David Freese. But that's a shame because he makes a nice play with the glove, but it's just the throw that's up the line. It would have been in plenty of time to get Reyes. And you may even say that he rushed it a bit.
Now, if you're Ozzie Guillen, you go after Tony Cruz, and this combination of Westbrook and Cruz, as Reyes is always a threat to steal. Out at second, wide throw there, and Descalso a heads-up play to touch the bag for the out. Would they have turned 2?
I don't think so.
If so, it would have been their 3rd double play turn tonight. That's what you expect when Westbrook is on.
Another wide throw for David Freese. This one pulls Descalso off the bag, but very alertly. Again, that's the brains of Descalso. Just quick reaction. I'm going to dive on the bag. I don't really have a chance to set my feet. I'm just going to have to dive. And you can see players fumbling around with what should I do here, and he just instinctively reacts correctly, and he generally does.
Carlos Lee with 1 out. Runner at first. Last time up, Lee went down and hit a 3-iron out to center field. I mean, he had to go down and get that.
Always been a good low ball hitter.
El Caballo.
Ramirez a threat to run. 10 stolen bases. Not the same threat Reyes would be. And maybe a little surprised that the Marlins didn't give Reyes a chance to at least think about running. 20 for 24 in stolen bases, and then to be erased just like that. I always thought that that was one of Tommy Herr's most underrated abilities as a hitter, is understanding the game well enough to know when to take a pitch with a guy that can run at first base, or perhaps first and second base. Even as a third hitter in the Cardinal lineup, we think of the teams in the 80s and how often he would let Vince Coleman and Willie McGee steal bags, and then a base hit for him would produce a couple of RBIs instead of just one.
2-1 pitch through Freese. The ball will find you, and right now it's finding David Freese. A run will score. This game is tied. It's 1-1. So Freese had the air. Ball hit by Reyes. Wide throw and a potential double play, and a ball hit by Ramirez. And this one, off the bat of Lee, gets through David Freese. We're tied up. It's 1-1.
Been so sure-handed this year, but not a good inning for him. This ball hops right over his glove. And the speed of Hanley Ramirez, he's able to score. He turns it on, going from second to third. And that's one of the things about your defense at the corners. You let a ball go through the wickets if you play first base or third base, and you got a bigger problem than if that happens up the middle.
And this hits Morrison. Second time he's been hit by a pitch, didn't even move.
Almost identical to the first time.
Right. And here comes Derek Lilliquist. Now, we were talking about Ramirez and Reyes and what they mean to the lineup. You know, Ramirez had back-to-back seasons of 51 steals. He's no slouch with his speed, as we saw him go around the bases and scoring that run. 73 pitches on the night for Westbrook. Reminder that Cardinals baseball is brought to you by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Ford, the official vehicles of the world champion St. Louis Cardinals. Ruggiano is 2 for 2, and there's 2 runners on. Pitch that's up, got away with it. It's hit out of play. Errors number 6 and 7 this inning for David Freese.
And he almost had a third.
Oh, 1 pitch. Ground ball. Here's Freese. Steps on the bag. Takes his time, and a strike to first. The ball will find you, huh?
I'll say.
It's another double play turned by the Cardinals. Double play is a big part of the ball game tonight, and you know it should be a big part of the game when Jake Westbrook is on the mound.
And that's a normal one right there. You're used to seeing that one. This one, the most abnormal double play. Are you kidding me? For call to Descalzo, and then a little bit of revenge for David Freese. A rough inning defensively for him, but he's able to finish off a rough top of the 6th inning where the Marlins pick up a run by completing that inning-ending double play. And here he gets a chance to get the Cardinals back in this with the bat.
David has hit safely in 14 of the last 15. Human nature, maybe after a couple of mistakes, you try to do too much to make that mistake up for, and hopefully that's not the case with David Freese at the plate tonight.
Always the worst thing to do, but always the most natural thing to do.
David, a pair of hits, including an RBI double. And he rips it out to left. Maybe take some of those frustrations out on that pitch that was up. 3-hit night. All-Star Game is on Fox, as you know. And you can see that Tuesday night locally, Channel 2, 6:30 on Fox. Remember, David Freese in the postseason had a botched pop-up. Should have been a simple play.
Oh, yeah.
Territory. And afterwards, he was asked about that. Were you thinking about it? Did it come into play later? And he'd had a good game that night. Was not game 6. And he said, what I've learned is I live in the moment. You know, if I make a mistake, it happens. I try not to let it affect me, but in years past I would. It's one of the reasons why he quit baseball, beat up on himself mentally. He can be very tough on himself. And he quit baseball coming out of high school when he was thought of as one of the best prospects in the state of Missouri. But he missed the game, the love, the passion for it. But getting to this level and being able to compete, he talks about staying in the moment.
And staying in the moment really goes both ways. It's not just overcoming some negativity, but it also is not relying on past successes either. And in the case of David Freese, we all know what he did in October, and it would have been very typical for a player like David Freese to come into the next year and all of a sudden not be sharp again, not be ready, still be living on last October and saying, well, I used to, but you know, you got to keep doing it. And we've seen players rest on their laurels too.
Base hit for Descalzo. Moving up, David Freese to second. Nobody out. 1-1 game in the home half of the 6th.
This is a game of what have you done for me lately?
You bet.
Descalzo drives that one right up the middle. Hit too hard to advance Freese to third.
Jose Oquendo wants to talk with Tony Cruz. Westbrook on deck. Just to follow up a point about David Freese. Gabby Sanchez, there's some talk that with him being arbitration eligible, it's gotten to him. Potential of making big money after this year. It is a part of the game. You know, you're thinking about your contract. It's hard not to. It's human nature. And David is arbitration eligible, but that has not been something that's been brought up.
One of the best pieces of advice I ever got on this subject was from Bruce Sutter, who said to me in my first year, he said, you know, you've got to be this close, and he put his forefinger and his thumb about an inch apart. You got to be that close to not caring what happens. And you just do what you do, and you don't overthink about the results. And the results could be wins, losses, money, contracts, you name it. But you've got to not really think about that. Just think about performance and let it just flow. And he certainly pitched that way. And he acted that way. He had that temperament. And I think modeling that for teammates over the years was a great gift from Bruce Sutter.
1-0 pitch to Cruz. Ground ball that's hit to short. Try to get 2, and they can't. Could have been a play where you get the lead man. And instead, even though his momentum was taking him towards third, thought he could turn 2, maybe because he knows Cruz is running, but Cruz runs fairly well.
He does. He runs well for a catcher, but I think this is it hard enough that he's thinking double play right here. Just a little bit of trouble with the exchange for Infante, and I don't think he doesn't throw this because he doesn't have time. He doesn't throw it because he doesn't have a handle on it. See, he's got plenty of time. Cruz wasn't even in the picture yet. So I think it's the right choice to go to second. But that little fumble at the bag for Infante was the difference.
See how the Cardinals want to play this. They'll hold the runner at first, and Ramirez, even with the bag, now a step or two in on third base. Westbrook has a double and a walk. He's showing bunt. Strike one. Second inning for Jake Westbrook. Worked a walk. And Wainwright, we're not worried about Jake. Just watch the reaction of Adam Wainwright. Then he picks up a double. Oh, yeah. Showing that strength.
Exactly.
0-1 pitch. Westbrook puts it in play. Hit to short. Out at second and out at first. They turn the double play. Nicely done by Infante. Keeps this game tied at 1-1. Started by Reyes. The turn by Infante over to Lee. The reaction of Adam Wainwright. Fred Bird will be on the front. Kids ages 15 and younger take that home, presented by Ice Mountain. And before the game, ice cream treats, family Sunday, free hot dog and soda, purchase of select tickets. You can run the bases after the game, and that's all this Sunday. Good ball game tonight. Cardinals about hit Miami 9-3, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, the 8th stranded a bit of a problem for St. Louis. They've had enough opportunities. They just haven't come up with the big hit, nor have we seen the long ball, which has been a factor so much in a lot of the Cardinal games this season. Long ball accounting for crooked numbers on the board, but we don't have one yet.
Greg Dobbs will lead things off. Dobbs has been with Seattle, the Phillies, and the Florida Marlins in his second season. Hit .275 last year with Miami. First pitch to him is lined into center field, and Jay won't get there. Had to back up to make sure it didn't scoot on by, and it's a leadoff base hit. Here come the Marlins again. Westbrook is only at 75 pitches. So when you look back at last inning, when you have first and third, and you sit there and say, well, is that a time to pull your starter and maybe take a chance maybe not tonight.
It happened so quickly, didn't have a chance to actually talk about that potential. But I think because of the low pitch count, Jake's been so good in this game. Really, Miami shouldn't have a run. The errors in that 6th inning led to an unearned run, so I have no problem with Jake staying in the game.
Infante, the sacrifice, Descalso covering. 1-4 on the play, and it brings in Buck. You have Buck here, and then you get to the pitcher spot. As well as Westbrook has gotten ground balls. Is this a situation where you put the decision then on Ozzie Guillen? Now you run the risk of a big inning, but potentially putting Buck on. Granted, he's hitting under 200, but then you have the pitcher spot up. Make them make that choice as to whether or not they want to go to their bullpen.
I think I'd rather pitch to Buck and whoever the pinch hitter is than the pinch hitter and Reyes. And I think that's the problem with doing that.
Fly ball into right. Beltran makes the catch. Tags up from second to third. That's Dobbs.
Our starters have pitched very well against Miami, and twice it was Kyle Oesch. First game of the season on April 4th. Only 1 earned run in 7 1/3 innings, and he was almost as good in late June. And Westbrook and Kelly also had very good quality starts.
So this is Austin Kearns. Saw him for a number of years with Cincinnati. Then with Cleveland. He's bounced around a bit, now with Miami. Ooh, and Cruz is able to keep that in front. Ball 1. Six 2/3 for Westbrook thus far. That's it for Nolasco. Cruz keeping it in front. Important factor when you consider no Yadier Molina tonight.
Yeah, and he was forced to backhand that too, which makes it a much tougher play. That could have been a disaster.
And the 1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. As much as you love golf, it looks like Phil Mickelson is going to add baseball to his resume. Part of the O'Malley group to buy the Padres, and apparently that deal will get done and will be announced potentially after the All-Star break.
How about that?
That is the O'Malley family that formerly owned the Dodgers.
And I have a great deal of respect for them.
Nolasco 86 pitches on the night, 6 innings, 1 run, 9 hits, walked 1, struck out 4. Ooh, didn't get the call. 2 balls and 1 strike. For all those years, the Reds were waiting for Austin Kearns and Adam Dunn to become superstars. Dunn is now with the White Sox, and Kearns obviously now with Miami. 2-1 pitch as another Dunn is getting loose in the pen. The hard throwing lefty. Low. Pirates lose tonight, so the Cardinals could gain ground in the Central. And it's a walk. Dangerous here. Switch hitting Jose Reyes.
That may have been one of those cases where a pinch hitter comes up and you almost overthink how to pitch to him. Okay, here's his strengths. Okay, he's good at that. And then all of a sudden you start picking at a guy. Now, Jake Westbrook hasn't been picking all game long. But there's a reason Austin Kearns isn't starting. He may be a good pinch hitter. He may be a valuable guy to have off the bench. But if he was as good as the guy at the plate, he'd be playing every day.
2 outs and 2 on. Reyes, their leadoff man. He's grounded out. He's lined out. Reached on an air by Freeze. John Jay is pretty shallow in center. Remember, Reyes he's got a little pop.
Yes, he does. Normally, when you think Reyes, you think triple, don't you?
Yes, you do. Led the league in triples last season. He's done that twice in the National League, and now Cruz wants to talk it over. Hitters count, 2 balls and no strikes. Derek Lilliquist back out. More than 440,000 Americans die each year from smoking-related illnesses, including cancer, heart disease, and stroke. 10,000 in Missouri alone. Call the Missouri Tobacco Quit line to quit now. 1-800-QUIT-NOW. 14th sold-out crowd of the year. 46,721 tonight. 4-6-7-2-1. May have gotten a gift there on that call. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Had good movement to it, just not sure it caught the plate.
Gets the call again.
Pretty close to that outside corner, but a gift for Westbrook. Now finish him off.
Right-hander up and throwing for St. Louis.
Victor Marte.
Get him back out there after being roughed up in his last outing. Here comes the crowd again on this 3-2 pitch. Westbrook has to be quick. Bare hands to first and throws it away. A run scores. That's in the seats. And the Marlins have their first lead. The Airs are coming back to haunt the Cardinals. Great effort by Westbrook to get to that ball. Only chance to bare hand. And the speed of Reyes coming into play again.
And I wondered if he had a better shot at maybe getting the runner at the plate.
Yep.
Westbrook does everything he can. Just as the fireworks begin to go off again here in St. Louis, here Westbrook has the ball. Would have had to have been a perfect throw, off balance throw. And to throw home would have been tough too. I'm not sure which would have been a better choice. Both of them would be difficult.
3 errors on the night behind Jake Westbrook. His night is through. Deserves a better fate.
Agreed.
Central. Minimum 800 ABs.
We're looking at
332.
Yeah, we're looking at him. And we showed earlier that there was a year that he hit the Cardinals very well, but most years he has not. Miami leading 2-1. And really the difference, the 3 Cardinal errors.
Speed of Reyes has come into play as you get a look at Victor Marte and our Chevy call to the pen. Many times Mike Matheny going to Marte with runners on and chance to clean things up.
Big opportunity for him here amid the fireworks in downtown St. Louis.
Boy, you know Westbrook would love to have that at bat against Kearns back. Pinch hitter for Nolasco.
Absolutely.
And walked him to bring up Reyes.
Now, he may have just been off with his mechanics a bit there, Dan, but I still wonder whether he was just a little too careful with him.
Two outs and 2 on, and a 2-1 lead for Miami. Marte has been a very good find for the Cardinals, hasn't he?
I'll say. Tough assignment here. Hanley Ramirez. Been a very good ball game. His job, keep it a 2-1 game.
1-1 pitch. Down the right field line, the fans that are at the top of the stadium not paying attention to baseball right now. Got a pretty good view of the fireworks.
They wouldn't mind seeing it both to the left and to the right.
Yeah. The 2-1. Fly ball, center field. John Jay makes the catch, and it's time to stretch. Reyes, and the difference in this game to an extent, Rick, has been his speed.
One of the 5 tools that a baseball player can have is speed, and this is why it's a tool. You force an error, a wide throw, that leads to a run, an infield hit, very harmlessly hit down the left side of the infield, ends up in a base hit, and that's your offense here today. Reyes seems to be having some fun too. I'm not sure if he's just enjoying the fireworks more enjoying the fact that he's gotten to show off his legs a bit.
This is Dunn, the hard-throwing lefty. We talked about how he went down to New Orleans the previous series, their minor league affiliate, to work on his breaking stuff and maybe even take a little bit off that fastball for location. Very good arm, hard thrower. You see the numbers, not pretty. High ERA, lots of walks. And the Cardinals trail now in the home half of the seventh. It's 2-1 despite out-hitting Miami 9-5 in this game.
All right, time to create some fireworks of our own.
And maybe it starts right here with Rafael Furcal. Furcal with a double. He's lined out with 2 runners on and also flied out with 2 runners on. The Cardinals have stranded 8 in this game. The first pitch is taken low. Furcal, Jay, and Holiday. Again, a reminder will come your way at 2:30 tomorrow.
Interesting, they would send Dunn down to tell him to work on not throwing as hard. But precisely the conversation I had with Kyle Oesch about what he's learned later in his career is to really throw most pitches at about 90 to 95% as hard as he can throw it, because he can command it better, gets more movement, he ends up being more effective. He has walked less batters late in his career, talking about Loesch. Although never really a wild guy early on, but he was a guy that could pump it up to 95 and just really has learned, and we've heard Greg Maddux talk about that over the years, that you should throw every pitch at about 90%. And that will produce a 100% better result.
1-2 pitch. You can see right there, Dunn, and in the previous series in Miami when we saw him, really struggled with the breaking ball, and as you well know, Rick, if that's the case, these hitters will just sit on the fastball and wait to get it.
You eliminate it. Yep. If the breaking ball becomes eliminated, I'm just looking fastball. A lot easier to hit then.
The 2-2 for Kyle. Can't catch up. Down the right field line, and the catch is made in foul territory. Long way to go for the right fielder of the Marlins. Dobbs makes the play. John Jay with the sacrifice first time up. He's grounded to second. He's been hit by a pitch. And Dobbs had a long way to go, didn't he?
Sure did, and checked the wall one time just to see how far he was from ending up in the first row. And he's a guy that really has not had a chance to play in the field very much over the last few years. He's been more of a pinch hitter. In fact, he just went 1 hit ahead of Tommy Hutton for career pinch hits, which Tommy was letting us know painfully before the telecast.
It's always an interesting debate when you think about bunting and sacrificing in the first inning. John Jay did that in the first, and some will tell you grab that early lead if you can, put the pressure on the other team, especially if you're at home. Others will say, why do it so early? Cardinals did that in the first inning with John Jay. See John taking a peek down at third. Now Ramirez is backing up 4, 5, 6, 7 steps. 2 strikes on Jay. Slaps it foul. Are you a proponent of that? Sacrificing in the first, or would you rather see him swing away?
Well, I'm more of a proponent of him sacrificing in the first and Matt Holliday driving in the run, which didn't happen. And so I'm okay with that. And although with a guy like John Jay, and I think he was thinking that in that first inning, that was a little bit more than just a sacrifice. That was a I think I can maybe get a hit out of this, and I am a proponent of that.
There's a shot left center field, and that ball will get down all the way to the wall. Jay to second. Stops there. The tying run in scoring position. Good to see John Jay drive the baseball.
Yeah, I'm also a proponent of one-out doubles.
I like him too.
Finds the gap with that ball very hard, hit it the other way. And again, another good at-bat against a left-handed pitcher too. But when a left-hander does not have a curveball that's effective against a lefty, it's just another right-handed guy. I mean, another guy throwing over the top, and you can time them a lot better.
Submariner is getting loose. The right-hander in the bullpen for the Marlins. Stars align for the All-Star game. The best of the American and National Leagues. 6:30 on Fox Tuesday night. Saw the sidewinder before. We'll see him again tonight. 2-1 game. The Cardinals may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the world champion Cardinals. Steve Cishek, very good numbers this year, record of 4-1, and he is not your normal sidewinder, if you will, because he throws much harder than many of the guys that throw like this.
That's exactly right. You think about the old guys. I'm going way back to Ted Abernathy or Kent DeCulvey. Cecilio Guante is another one that comes to mind. They were guys that, you know, didn't necessarily bring it up there at 95 miles an hour, but had great movement from down below. But he's the guy that can bring it down there. So you've got to make sure that you can pick up his arm angle and pick up the slot where the ball's coming from, because it's all about vision when you're at the plate. So try to figure out where that ball's coming from as quickly as possible. And you know, you tend to be flat when you're down there. If you throw the ball from a sidearm delivery and you get on the side of the ball, things tend to be flat. So we'll see if he's on top or not.
He's got the combination of being a ground ball pitcher and a strikeout pitcher, so you can see why the Marlins are high on him. He's also 6'6", tying run at second. And here's what we mean. That's 92 from that delivery, and we always talk about deception. And with him being 6'6", Ricky, they say that he hides the ball very well.
Well, he's 6'6", but the way he throws the ball, he ends up being about a 6'1" pitcher at the end of it. But so he loses a little bit of his height advantage, but I think the deception is clearly there.
1-0 pitch to Matt Holliday. Instead of check on the runner. Good speed at second, and John Jay. There's now a haze that's over the ballpark and smoke because of the fireworks in downtown St. Louis. We just had the finale during the break. 1-0 pitch. Holiday fights it off, and Lee will take it himself for the out. 2 away. See where that ball runs in on a right-hander too.
It did, right in on the hands of Holiday. Tried to poke that the other way. Now it'll be up to Carlos Beltran if the Cardinals are able to score here in the 7th inning. And you know, a win in this game, this has been a good baseball game. The Cardinals have out hit the Marlins 10-5, but it'd be really good from a Cardinals point of view if they could overcome the errors. Very hard to win a game when you make 3 errors.
Situation like this, do you pitch to Beltran, not saying intentionally walk him, but give him anything really to hit with Craig on deck, who's struggling right now, and you set up the righty-righty matchup?
I think that thought is in their mind, but I still would not want to have to pitch to Alan Craig either. And that's no disrespect to Carlos Beltran. I think teams get in trouble when they do that, just personal opinion, when they do that too much late in games and you end up getting more base runners just to pitch to the one guy you want to. I think it leads to big innings, especially when you're ahead. They're ahead in this game. I always think that there's a theory that you ought to act like it and not be defensive.
2-0 on Beltran. Ooh, he had a good rip there, didn't he?
Didn't get cheated.
Two balls and 2 strikes on Beltran. Puts the ball in play. Lee backhands. The pitcher is there, and the threat is over. We played 7. Marlins on top. It's 2-1. Standing by with a Bommarito Sports Update. Michael Clado finishing up his warm-up tosses. That's big for the Phillies, but is it too late in getting back Ryan Howard? 4.50 ERA, 8 innings, 7 games from Michael Clado. Clado comes in a 2-1 ball game. Maybe a Vote of confidence here when you look at what's coming up in this lineup. Lee, Morrison, and Ruggiano.
Not that long ago, he was in AAA, and now all of a sudden, Michael Clado is pitching in a game that is very close and late. And there's a look at the smoke that we're still experiencing here at Busch Stadium from the fireworks.
Yeah, you know what? Some of these guys are going to say it's like being in minor league city.
Oh, yeah.
On a Friday night, it's warm. Maybe the lights aren't as good as you get in a major league park. The haze.
It would look like this every time we had Captain Dynamite at the ballpark.
There you go.
Did you ever hear about him?
Was this when you were with the
minor leagues with the Cardinals?
Okay.
In Little Rock, Arkansas.
Little Rock, okay.
They would have a man who was called Captain Dynamite, who would, before a game 2 or 3 times a year, would put himself in a wooden box and blow the box up at home plate.
Heck of a way to make a living.
That's what he did. And one day I was getting rubbed down by the trainer to go into the game, and Captain Dynamite had one of the pieces had flown off his head and kind of had some blood going, but he ended up being okay. But
the trainer had to attend to him.
The trainer had to attend to him, and he said, "What happened to you?" And Captain Dynamite said, "What?"
Come on.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. He didn't hear very well, Captain Dynamite, but he sure was entertaining.
Didn't think very well either.
Oh, that was fun times.
Catch is made in right center by John Jay. .944 in St. Louis, and in the dugout, still triple digits. Logan Morrison has been hit by 2 pitches. And he's also grounded out.
So, Dan, not only is Clado in a close game here, but he's facing 3, 4, 5 in a big league order, too. So, again, some trust from Mike Matheny that we think you deserve to be out there in situations like that.
I think we both agree that the bullpen is settled down just a little bit here in the last handful of games.
Absolutely.
Strike on the outside corner at 96. 2 balls and 1 strike. With Clado, as we've talked about, you look at those off-speed pitches and where he is making progress, and if it's getting to that point, Cardinals feel this confident in him. 1-run game on a Friday night. Heart of the order coming up. That's well hit into right, and that ball is gone. That's a home run for Logan Morrison, his 11th of the year, and it's 3-1.
That was a sweet swing from Logan Morrison. He didn't miss this at all. Good follow through, good extension. Really a home run hitter swing.
Morgana, the kissing bandit. You ever run into her?
I do not believe I was ever at a ballpark where she was in attendance.
You only had the guy that would blow himself up.
Yeah. Correct. And the chicken, and Max Patkin was another.
You'd probably prefer Morgana
than Max Patkin by a long shot.
I'd say most males would feel that way.
Although Max was the clown prince of baseball and had an act that was.
I'll take Morgana.
Very funny. Max would go out and replace the third base coach, and he would coach third for your team for an inning and do his shtick on the field with responsibility.
The 2-1 pitch. Ruggiano pops it foul. Busch Stadium in St. Louis, you see the haze and the smoke has cleared up a little bit 10 minutes ago. Very hazy, and there's a strikeout.
Late break. Meant to be outside. Ended up inside. Didn't quite catch the corner, but he got the call. Cardinals have won 8 of their last 9 meetings with Miami. Trailing here in the 8th. Mostly because of defensive miscues. Jake Westbrook really was good tonight. Deserved a better fate.
Marlins only have 6 hits. Cardinals have stranded 9, committed 3 errors. It has gotten very quiet here at the ballpark. Greg Dobbs, 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs, 3-1 Marlins.
And on a hot night with 46,000 plus people, I would say there's still about 45,000 plus still here. Very few have left. Close game throughout.
Three-one pitch with 2 outs and nobody on. 3-2. Plato may have thought this was strike 3. Whoop, need 1 more.
It happens.
That is strike 3.
He knew it was going to happen.
Craig leads it off when we come back. Mixer, great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And by Taco Bell, Live Más. Cardinals have to come back tonight, trailing by the score of 3-1. Alan Craig, David Freese, and Daniel Descalso on a hot night here in St. Louis. Craig on the first pitch pops one foul and out of play.
Mentioned the unique style of this pitcher, Cishek, throwing from underneath. We talked about some of the submariners of the past, and I got a nice note on Twitter from a Cardinal fan who said that I neglected to mention really one of my favorites of all time, Dan Quisenberry, who also threw underneath. He didn't throw hard either, but he was an incredible closer for Kansas City and also spent some time in St. Louis. And was a very, very well-respected teammate.
Atlanta beat the Phillies. We'll run through some of the finals. 5-0. Rockies over Washington, 5-1. Detroit over Kansas City, 4-2. San Francisco beat Pittsburgh, 6-5. Tampa Bay over Cleveland, 10-3. Cubs over the Mets, 8-7. And the White Sox over Toronto, 4-2. Strikeout of Craig.
The arm angle of Cishek is low, but he still manages to get his fingers on top of the ball to create that downward spin and to keep it down. And he throws hard from that angle. Be a tough guy to pick up the ball out of his hand.
Rick right now is showing me Captain Dynamite. And Captain Dynamite on YouTube has survived again. Can't walk, can't hear. He looks about 90. And he's saying hello to the crowd of 278 in attendance that night.
Now that's a video.
Three-hit night for David Freese. Also 2 errors for David. 2 balls and 1 strike. It's a 3-1 lead for Miami.
Multitasking up here.
Absolutely. The box explodes at second base, and there is 0 reaction from the crowd. That's the best part about it. Hey, Ma, look.
Look it up on YouTube is all I can say.
Some guys in a box. Boom. When's the game start? Couple guys yawning in the background.
He was a gamer, though.
Oh, was he ever. The 2-2.
David Freese sure has had a good night with the bat, hasn't he?
Well, I already mentioned he had 3 hits, but you were watching.
I was watching Captain Dynamite. Well, I was also kind of semi-referencing the glove, though. The glove had been a different story for David tonight.
I mentioned he had 2 errors.
Should have been 3. Did you say that?
I did not. Good point. Could have been 3.
Now I'm up to speed.
Freese pulls it foul. 2-2 pitch. Hit to short. Reyes with it. 2 outs. Take a look at the leaders in the National League. Pitching leaders. R.A. Dickey, 12 wins, 128 strikeouts. Ryan Vogelsong was a great story a year ago after spending time overseas to get his career in order. 2.26 ERA. Dickey and Vogelsong. Who would have thought that a few years ago?
I wouldn't have thought it this year for sure. Think about other pitchers in the league who have had injuries or maybe subpar years. Cliff Lee, Halladay, Wainwright, Carpenter, Lincecum.
Maybe getting back on track. His last couple of starts have been a lot better. Right now it's only a 2-run lead for the Marlins in a game that it seemed like the Cardinals were doing everything right with the exception of a couple of bad times in the game in which to commit an error, and it's come back to haunt them.
Yeah, and those losses hurt too because you know it's a game that you should win.
The fly ball that's lifted to left. Morrison is there and makes the catch. And we head to the 9th inning. 3-1 Miami. Is standing by with Pat. Hopefully you'll stay with us. 3-1 in favor of Miami over St. Louis.
He is still ready. It's the 9th, but he's ready for that foul ball, isn't he? Fernando Salas, game number 31 for him. I would say that he is going in a positive direction out of the Cardinal bullpen. He may have gotten away with a pitch his last outing and ended up getting an out. But overall, his body of work is really improving. And he is a key to the Cardinal bullpen. There's no question about that.
The Cardinal fan Butch Lee hoping for a comeback tonight. Top of the 9th. Butch never misses a game. Up and down year for Salas.
And an up and down year for the closer for the Marlins, Heath Bell.
Astros lose their 9th game in a row, 7-1 to Milwaukee. They're in last place in the Central. Longest losing streak since September of 2009. There's a broken bat. Charging on the play, David Freese. And there's one away. Heath Bell is getting loose in the bullpen. rough start to his Marlins career.
Seen a lot of broken bats lately, haven't we? Again, sawed off. Half the bat. Heads towards shortstop. David Freese gets his man. Now, there was a time where we went to the Oak Bats. We saw a lot more bats being sawed in half in dangerous situations, and it seems to be coming back again. Really, the last 3 weeks, I would say we've seen
more and more of it.
More and more, yeah.
Cardinals have wasted great opportunities tonight. They've stranded 9, 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position. That's one of the stories of this ball game. One pitch to John Buck. Another chance for David Freese. He has been busy tonight and out at first. He's fighting it a little bit.
He really is. Alan Craig probably saves an error here. Double clutches and then lets the ball go just a little bit high, and I'm not sure he was out. Does he hit the base with his foot? Does he tag him? Or does he do neither?
Giancarlo Stanton. We were wondering if we would see him tonight. We will right now as a pinch hitter. Again, he's been dealing with a sore knee. Has not played in about 4 days. If he's not playing over the weekend, Rick, it'd be hard to think that that would be acceptable then to compete in the home run derby.
I would agree. I'm sure he wants to do that. The thrill of it.
0-1 pitch.
Mentioned how busy David Freese has been. All of that's come after the 5th inning. First 4 innings, not one ball was hit his way. And he's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chances since then.
3 hits on the night. 2 balls and 1 strike on Giancarlo Stanton, who has 19 home runs. He's driven in 50, the .283 average. Pulls it foul. He is only 22 years old. He was their cleanup man at the age of 21 on opening day a year ago, and was discovered at an all-star game out in California. He was headed to USC to play tight end. And he's late on that swing. Strikeout for Salas. See if the Cardinals can't come back. Bottom of the 9th rolls in when we come back. 86 pitches for the starter of the Marlins. 9 hits in 6 innings. But this, a safe situation for the Marlins this year, Rick, has turned into an adventure. Heath Bell comes in, 3 blown saves. The ERA that's close to 9. And that's against St. Louis. Cardinals got to him. We saw the previous series with the dramatic home run by Yadier Molina that tied the game. Cardinals then eventually won the game in extra innings. That was a 4-run lead in the 9th. He did pick up a save against St. Louis, but that wasn't easy either.
Well, the deal with Heath Bell is not only has he blown the few saves, Skip Schumacher will pinch hit, but he has had 9 games where he's given up 2 or more runs where he's pitched an inning or less. So that's a ton of games where he's gotten hit. That's why the ERA is close to 9 for Heath Bell.
Skip Schumacher. Matt Carpenter is on deck. And then Rafael Furcal. So a steady diet of lefties. If anybody reaches, then John Jay.
And that's the plan, for people to reach. Get on in front of Matt Holliday and let him thrill this crowd. And they've hung tough on this game, too. The St. Louis crowd is still expecting something fun here in the 9th inning.
Skip didn't like that call. Spins away. 1 ball, 1 strike. And that's a fair ball. Schumacher on his way to second base. And how about this? The tying run will come to the plate.
Schumacher finds a hole on the left side, right down the line, not guarding the line is Hanley Ramirez, and it ends up being a double for Schumacher. A lot of teams will guard the line more late in the game. He was even with the bag and gave up the line, and Skip found it.
So many things mentally going on right now, I'm sure, with Heath Bell.
Absolutely. And most of it not good.
The ERA that's near 17 in his career at Busch Stadium in 6 games. Carpenter fouls it off.
Tried that same plan, didn't he? Now Ramirez looking into the dugout, and now he is guarding the line. Well, now he's not.
Looks back in the dugout, now moves out the line. He's been back and forth.
He's not sure. He may be getting 2 different answers.
Still a lot of room to that left side because Reyes is near the bag at second. Here's the 0-1 pitch. 0-2.
Reyes near the bag at second. Certainly you don't care about the runner at second, Skip Schumacher. If you're Reyes, you just have to play the best defensive position possible to be able to retire Carpenter. Holding him close would be more important if it were a 1-run game.
And you would have to think that a base hit, those throws certainly should go into second base. That run, if you're from the Marlins side of things, you don't care.
Absolutely.
But you want to keep that next runner from getting into scoring position. Outfield shades him a bit to the opposite way. A check swing did not go. 2-2. I mean, you see how the center fielder is positioned, and it's not unusual to see outfielders going one way, infielders another.
Right.
But in this case, Ramirez is pretty close to the line. Reyes is close to second base. And this is a guy that a lot of times we see him shoot it left field.
No question. That's their book on him for whatever reason. Cousins is the new center fielder. Ruggiano has moved from center to left. But what matters right now is Matt Carpenter in this at bat.
The 2-2. And again, how many times have we seen this year with Matt Carpenter? Falls behind and then works the count full or in his favor.
A lot of deep counts for him.
I'm sure the weight of the world right now is on Heath Bell's shoulders. He's already blown a save on this road trip against Milwaukee. A 3-2 pitch to Carpenter. Here it comes. Bell makes the play. And it brings in Rafael Furcal.
The home run by Morrison in the 8th inning, looming very important now that the Cardinals have a runner in scoring position in the bottom of the 9th. That run clearly not as meaningful as getting Rafael Furcal on base.
Furcal showing a little bunt, and Ramirez had to charge. You got Lee guarding the line at first. Outfield is deep straight away for Rafael Furcal. Hitting lanes both sides. Oh, and 2. Always want to thank the men and women behind the scenes. All the hard work that they do putting things together for Fox Sports Midwest. Think about our buddy Joe Mazzolo, who's been hard at work today and working in the heat.
You bet.
Been a long day here at the ballpark. 0-2 is the count on Furcal. Slowly hit to the right side. Lee backhands. Furcal is safe. Tying run is on. Winning run will come to the plate.
Again, it's not how hard you hit it sometimes, but where you hit it. Furcal finds a hole on the right side. His speed matters now. He's trying to race Bell to the bag. Carlos Lee fumbles it a bit. Infield hit, RBI for Furcal. And with one swing of the bat for John Jay, we could have about 40,000 happy people here at the ballpark.
Boy, that's not good to see there. Furcal is coming out of the game.
There's the fumble, and Lee was planning on flipping the ball to Heath Bell. Tyler Green is the pinch runner for Furcal, and you hope that's just a mild strain for Rafi.
Now you have Tyler Green. And here's what we're talking about earlier, Rick. Do you give Tyler Green a pitch or two to try to steal a bag? You don't want to see your hitter go in the hole, but yet you'd love to see Green get himself in scoring position. Back to the bag safely is Green.
I would say no. I would say you give John Jay a chance to swing the bat. I think stealing the base is a risky proposition in the bottom of the 9th, down 1, unless you know, and I mean you know, you're going to get there. Tyler
Jay
Green
has a double tonight.
He'll be thinking about it.
A little bigger lead at first. He's not running. On the outside corner for a strike, 0-1.
Another big lead.
Not running. 1 ball, 1 strike. Holiday is on deck.
A hit and run, another possibility with John Jay.
Holiday is 1 for 13 against Bell. Jay, another one of those guys that hits from this side of the plate. Very good at just guiding it into left or through the hole between third and short. And there's a big hole there. One pitch. Jay hasn't liked the first strike call nor that one.
Bell doesn't really throw a cutter, but his ball rides a little bit. Threw that fastball towards the outer half, and it just kind of darted towards the outside corner, and we've seen that pitch from him a couple of times. You can't give up on that pitch off the corner away.
One-two pitch. Ground ball. Lead to second. Holiday's the final hope. Wasn't that long ago. Road trip through Miami. Keith Bell on the mound. Yadier Molina at the plate. Remember, it was a 4-run lead that evaporated. A 2-run shot by Yadi. Cardinals down to their final out. One of the most dramatic home runs of the season.
And this is another reason you're careful about running with Tyler Green, is you don't want to take the possibility of what Matt Holliday could do right here out of his hands. If you have a strike him out, throw him out, and you end this game without Matt Holliday having a chance right here, you've given up an opportunity, because Matt is an instant rally because of his power potential. Even though he has not hit well in his career against Heath Bell, he's dangerous right now, even with a runner at first base.
Holliday does have a double. That was back in the third.
All-star selection in the afternoon. Walk-off home run at night.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Be a nice story.
The Holiday fans here would love it. The Cardinal fans would love it. Outfield extremely deep. And Holiday is hit by the pitch. the tying run in scoring position. Greg Houck out to visit. The Cardinals trainer, where did he catch him?
Looks like on the tricep, on his left tricep. Just above the elbow, painful area, not a lot of padding there for sure. Holliday's trying to forget about it. He tells Mike Matheny he's okay, but the Cardinals in this inning have dealt with Rafael Furcal maybe blowing a tire on his way to first base, and now Matt Holliday getting hit.
Randy St. Clair, longtime pitching coach in the big leagues, out to visit. And look who's up. It's Carlos Beltran.
That's the kind of year it's been for Heath Bell. He has a hitter at the plate who's clearly a very good hitter in Matt Holliday, but he's owned him. Pitched very well against him, and first pitch he hits him in the elbow.
John Jay with good speed at second base. He's the tying run. Holliday, the winning run at first. Beltran at the plate. First pitch to him. Strike one. The 0-1 pitch. Beltran with one base hit tonight. That was back in the fifth, a single, pair of groundouts, and a strikeout. The 1-1 pitch. Little chopper up the middle. Throw to first and got him. Ball game is over on a terrific play up the middle.
A bang bang play at first base. The Cardinals rally is thwarted here by Infante on the backhand. Bang bang play. Cardinals make it very interesting in the ninth inning, but drop game one to the Marlins.
Post-game show comes your way next. 3-2 the final tonight.